He served as Majority Leader of the Hawaii State Legislature, and he represented the islands in the U.S. House of Representatives from 2002 to 2007. Now he's challenging Congresswoman Mazie Hirono to fill the U.S. Senate seat to be vacated by Senator Dan Akaka. And former Congressman Ed Case joins us in studio to continue our Commitment 2012 coverage. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for
Good to be with
joining us. So you woke up this morning and you saw the Civil Beat poll that shows you and Mazie Hirono neck and neck now. And it's interesting because the Star Advertisers poll shows Mazie Hirono ahead. So given this mix of information, how are you feeling running into the election?
Well, we're really excited, of course, with the Civil Beat poll, which shows us up actually 46% over Mazie just a few days before the election. And we think that that's exactly what's happening on the ground. We have felt an incredible surge of support in the last couple of weeks. We think that, you know, as people have checked us out side by side, especially after the one debate, and kind of compared us and made up their minds, they've headed in our direction. So it's reflecting what's happening out there. The previous poll, that was 3 weeks ago, they've been wrong before. And, you know, actually it reminds me very much of the 2002 governor's race against Mazie, where the polls had us down 20 points 2 weeks out, and we just missed that one by 1%. So we're feeling great about where we are right now, and feeling very confident going out into the next couple of days.
She, though, is still leading in fundraising and support among the mainstream Democrats. So is there really momentum for your campaign?
Absolutely. Well, you know, the fundraising, she's outspent us 3-4 to 1, and we're still there. You know, we're running even. We think we've got the momentum in our direction. You know, we're working really hard on the grassroots. I've been crisscrossing the state for well over a year now, and that catches up after a while. That overcomes that kind of fundraising advantage. Her money has been coming from the big money on the mainland and in D.C., and I think people want somebody that's going to represent them, and I think they're catching on to that.
Speaking of money, some people have credited the Congresswoman with bringing home the bacon in terms of some of those smaller projects that really haven't gotten a lot of attention on Capitol Hill. And when you were a congressman, what were some of the projects that you brought home, or the money that you brought home?
Well, definitely projects, for example, for our traffic improvements throughout the state. When I was in Congress representing the 2nd Congressional, those were some of the biggest challenges we had. So Queen Kahumanu Highway on the Big Island, certainly the improvements on Maui. We brought home money for a beautiful bikeway on Kauai that is now in place right now. Certainly some of the military housing, of course, working with the rest of the delegation. You know, that's the gravy of working as a member of Congress, and we're going to do that fine. But what we're really talking about here is national leadership on the large issues. How are we going to grow our economy? How are we going to preserve Social Security and Medicare? Those are going to take big picture decisions in Washington, and that's the difference between us.
If you were elected to the Senate, what specifically would you do to create jobs?
Well, you've got to focus first of all, and I've run businesses over the last 30 years and been in the private sector, and Mazie hasn't. That's a key difference between us. And I know that you have to keep taxes and regulations at a reasonable level. If you have taxes and regulations too high, your businesses are not going to prosper. You're not going to be able to create jobs. People are not going to be taking home a salary, and government's not going to have a revenue stream. So that's really number one in terms of growing an economy, is keep the taxes and regulations at a reasonable level.
You know, Dan Akaka's about to retire, and taking a step back and looking back, do you ever regret running against him?
Well, of course. You know, once the result of that election was in, yeah, sure. And I've had, of course, second thoughts about 2006. But, you know, that was then and this is now. We're talking now about the future. We're talking about the next generation of leadership in the Senate. And we're talking about how we can help Hawaii and our country going out over the future. So, you know, we all make mistakes in our life, and I've made my mistakes. But right now, the mistakes are in the past. They're up on the bookshelf. And I think I'm looking forward, certainly, and I think virtually all of the voters are looking forward, taking a look at me and Mazie and saying, hey, who can do this job? Who can really get this job done? That's the question.
Well, this race has been very exciting to watch. Ed Case, thank you so much for stopping by our studio this morning.
Thank you so much. Aloha.
And we interviewed the Congresswoman yesterday, so to see this interview with Ed Case again or any of our other interviews this election season, you can visit the politics section of our website, KITV.com. It is 6:09. We'll be right back.